Hello everyone. So I guess you all are fine. I'm really sorry for such a long break, but I hope that I'll maintain this consistency in a row this time. So we all know that I'll be explaining the 2023 PYQ of the structural geology, and it has 12 questions in it, and we'll explain them all. So yeah, starting from the 13th to 24, we have in a set syllabus के हिसाब से we have these questions. So I would just start from the 13th question. So the 13th question is okay, just a minute. So which one of the following materials shows a combination of recoverable elastic strain and permanent deformation, analogous to the motion governed by the friction block and a spring connected in a series? So the question is totally based on one definition कि एक ऐसा मटेरियल जो कि कॉम्बिनेशन शो करता है दो तरह का, जैसे कि रिकवरेबल इलास्टिक स्ट्रेन लगाया तो वो रिकवरेबल है, और परमानेंट डिफॉर्मेशन analogous to the motion governed by the friction block and a spring is connected in a series. So it's a basically somewhat basic physics and structural geology combination. These are the basics thing. So we need to know viscoplastic, thermoviscous, viscoelastic, and elastic plastic, Brigham, Kelvin, Maxwell, Prandtl. We should know all of these definitions. Ki what is this exactly, and which definition suits what. So for you, I have uh, done this. Yeah. So the correct answer is viscoelastic by the Maxwell. So let me tell you this one first. So viscoelastic. This is a material that exhibits both elastic, recoverable, and viscous, that is permanent deformation. The Maxwell model consists of spring, that is an elastic element, and a dashboard, that is a viscous element in series, which matches the description given in the question. So that is the answer. But we should know more about it. So viscoplastic, it's a Brigham. So this materials, it behaves as a rigid body at a lower stress, but it flows as a viscous at a higher stress. So it doesn't exhibit recoverable elastic state. One, a higher stress is applied, so it flows. So that's not a recoverable elastic strain. Now, thermoviscous, that is Kelvin. So this is a model which represents a combination of elastic and viscous behavior, but it is not typically used to describe the permanent deformation. Now, coming to the elastic plastic that is given by the Prandtl, this material shows elastic behavior up to a yield point, and after that it deforms plastically. So it does not exhibit the combination of recoverable elastic strain and permanent deformation described in the question. So we should know all of these. Okay. Now coming to the 14th question. So match करना है हमें list 1 list 2 से and select करना है correct answer using the code given below the uh, this list. So okay, linear strain, shear strain, uniaxial strain, pure strain. Now coming to the linear strain, characterized by having two of the principal stretches that is equal to one. So and the second one is change in the length parallel to the given coordinate, change in the shape by the changes in the angle. So we should know that yes, we should know that whenever there is a change in the angles, shape of the angles, that is always a shear thing. We should always remember it. So B को B3 के साथ ही होगा, क्योंकि जब एंगल्स बदलता है तभी shear strain लगता है. So B3 के साथ, so हमारे I have to zoom out to mark it out. Sorry. Yeah. So मुझे ये पता है कि एंगल जहाँ पे चेंज होंगे वहां पे shear है, तो B3 ये दोनों कट गए. हमारे ऑप्शन एलिमिनेट हमने कर लिए और हम पहले दो ऑप्शन पे आ गए. उसके बाद वी हैव यूनिएक्सियल स्ट्रेन. क्या होता है? सो यूनिएक्सियल स्ट्रेन इज characterized by having two of the principal stretches that is equal to one. And let me see the fourth one. Principal axis of strain are constant in orientation related to the reference coordinate system. So when the see pure strain क्या होता है? Supposedly we have the principal axis, ठीक है, like this we have the principal axis, and their orientation remains constant, that is related to the reference coordinate system, because there is no change in the angles, there is no angle situation, they are just this is a pure strain only. So D aligns with 4. So this is our correct answer. By knowing the two things we can find out the answer, but we should know what is linear, what is uniaxial, so we should know that also. So let me tell you about the linear strain. Linear, just remember, change in length parallel to given coordinate. Linear means something that is related with length. Now let me give you the correct. So linear strain क्या होता है? When there is a change in the length that is parallel to a given coordinate. So whenever there is a change in length, that is known as linear strain. Whenever there is a change in a shape by change in angle, it's shear strain. Uniaxial strain, it is characterized by having two principal stretches that is equal to 1. Pure strain is the principal axis of a strain are constant in orientation related to the reference coordinate system. So we can figure that out. Now, coming to the 15th question. So folds in which hinge zones are completely detached from the limbs are called intrafolial, rootless, concentric, chevron. We should know all four of them, then only we'll be able to answer. So let me just jump on the second slide of the explanation. Uh, why it's not moving? Oh, sorry. Mm, It's not moving. Just a minute. Okay, it's workable now. So yeah, we should know the all four definition to know it. So jumping onto this. So answer is rootless fold, but let me tell you what other four are. So intrafoliar folds कौन से होते हैं? These are the small scale folds that is found within a larger fold structures, often within a tightly packed limbs. That is known as intrafoliar folds. This tightly packed limbs is the characteristic. Rootless fold, the folds have hinge zone. Hinges zone are completely detached from the limbs, often due to intense deformation and shearing. So rootless fold is that. Concentric fold, these folds have layers that maintain their thickness and are concentric in shape. Chevron folds have sharp, angular hinges, straight limbs, and the hinge zones are not detached from the limbs. It's like this. Chevron are like this, concentric is like this. रूटलेस का आपका हिंज का जोन ही आपके लिम्ब से डिटैच्ड होता है because of the intense deformation, and interfoliophores you have a very tightly packed limbs. Okay, so this is a small scale fold that is found within large scale fold. Now coming so our answer would be rootless fold. Here we have the B option, and here we have our viscoelastic Maxwell. Now coming to the 16th question. So which one of the following linear deformational structure is found restricted to the interface between a competent and incompetent rock? So एक linear deformational structure है, ये सारे के सारे deformational structure है according to the question, and it is something that is restricted to the interface, that is something that is between the competent and incompetent rock. So what is that? Slick inside, mullion, asperity, and intersection lineation. So I'll just come to the our uh, what is happening. Yeah. So yeah, coming to this one, mullion. So mullion are the columnar structures that are typically formed at the boundary between competent and incompetent rock layers. So these features are indicative of differential movement during deformation that is often seen in folded and faulted rocks. Slick inside are the polished fault surfaces with linear grooves that have been created by the frictional movement between the masses along the fault. So they are restricted to the interface between competent and incompetent rock. Asperity is a rough projection on the fault surface that impedes sliding during the fault movement, and they are not specifically found at the interface. Intersection lineation, this is the linear feature that is formed by the intersection of two planes such as bedding and cleavage. It doesn't restrict it to the interface between different rock competencies. So whenever the different rock competencies is involved, mullion is that, slick inside is a polished fault linear grooves, asperity is the rough projections that happen because of the sliding during fault movement, and intersection lineation is just a linear feature that is formed between the intersection of two planes, that is bedding and cleavage. Okay, now the correct answer would be mullion. Now coming to the 17th question, these statement questions are very easy to get. Okay, so we'll work on that. So the term ramps and faults are used for steep and sub-horizontal portion of any fault surface. Sinistral sense strike slip faults are also called right lateral fault. Let me tell you, sinistral is related with left. Okay, it is related with left, so it is incorrect. So 2 is incorrect. So 2 is there and 2 is there. सो दो ऑप्शंस तो हमारे ये वाले एलिमिनेट ही हो गए. नाउ रैम्स एंड फॉल्स जो है वो स्टीप, sorry, ramps and flats are used for steep and sub-horizontal portion of any fall surface. They are not used for steep and sub-horizontal surface. They are not. They're only used for the plane surface and horizontal only. So this one is also incorrect. So this option is also incorrect for us. So this is correct. Now coming to the third question, third statement. Sorry. So two separate normal faults dipping towards each other create a down-thrown block known as graben. Uh, sorry. I have mixed it. I'm really sorry. This is a correct option and this is a correct option. It is asking for the incorrect one. Sorry, my bad. So ramps and flats are used. Sorry, I'm really sorry. Ramps are like this only. Yeah, it's correct. And flats are sub-horizontal. That is also correct. I'm very sorry, bad of me. So these options are correct. And of course, when two faults are dipping towards each other, they create a graben. And when two faults are moving, dipping, in opposite direction, they create host. So faults that steepens downward is called listric fault, while downward flattening faults are often called as anti-listric. So it's incorrect. Let me explain you. I might have made some confusion over here. So ramps and flats are the terms that is used to describe the fault surfaces in Thirst fault system. Talking about the incorrect because sinistral strike slip fault involves left lateral movement, not right lateral. Two normal fault dipping toward each other forms a graben structure, and a downward flattening fault is not necessarily a synthetic fault, but a listric fault involves a downward sweeping surface. Now, force that arches sideways is termed as, so force that arches sideways is either anticlinal, synclinal, neutral, or antiformal. The correct answer is neutral fold only. I think I have, yeah, here it is, yeah, please इसको आप consider मत करिएगा. I am telling you the answer is neutral fold. And yes, anticlinal, synclinal, folds are sideways. I haven't mentioned the explanation over here, but I'll mention in the comment section why neutral fold is the correct answer because I remember that I have given this and this is the correct option. Now, coming to the 19th one. So the difference between the maximum and the minimum principal stress is called, it's a differential stress only. Just remember that. It's a very easy question. So differential stress is indeed the difference between the maximum and minimum principal stress in a rock. This differential stress plays a key role in deformation and faulting process. Hydrostatic stress is the uniform stress that is applied in all direction and it's not the difference. Deviatoric is the difference between the applied stress and the hydrostatic stress. It is not specifically the difference between principal stresses. Uniaxial is stress applied only in one direction and it doesn't describe any difference between two principal stresses. Now coming to the another question, that is 20th question. So which one of the following statement regarding fracture is not correct? So क्या इसमें से correct नहीं है ये पूछ रहा है. So yeah, increasing the confining pressure makes it necessary to increase the differential stress in order to fracture a rock. That is correct. When we increase the confining pressure, so it becomes necessary to increase the differential stress in order to fracture a rock. Fracture initiation requires differential stress that exceeds the strength of the rock. That is also correct. In a brittle regime, a deforming rock accumulates only elastic strain before it fractures at a certain critical level. So, in a brittle regime, deforming rock accumulation only elastic strain before it fractures at a certain critical. Of course, that is correct. Compressive strength of the rock is always less than its tensile strength. Let me tell you that compressive strength uh, these rocks have higher compressive strength than tensile strength. Just remember that. Now, increasing the yeah, these all are correct. Always remember that compressive strengths are all higher than the tensile strength. So, this is the correct option. Now, coming to the joint surface that displays a regular pattern of subtle ridges and grooves diverging from a point or a central axis are known as. We should know what is pinnate, what is plumose, what is walnut, and what is feather. We should all know all of them. So yeah, plumose structures, they are characterized by feather-like patterns of ridges and grooves from a central point, and it is found on joint surfaces. Pinnate structure, it is not uh, walnut structures. These are the fractured lines that are found in glass or other brittle materials. It is not typically described to uh, uh, describe the joint surface. Weather structures and pinnate structures. I'll just give you guys to mention in the comment section what is pinnate and what is feather, and if you don't, then I'll mention in the comment section along with the our neutral folds one. Now coming to the another question, that is, which one of the following sets of the combination you should expect to find while carrying out fieldwork in the shear zone? So when we are working in a shear zone, so which sets are we gonna get? So striation, scan, bake contact, pseudoteculite, gauge and myelinite. This is something that we'll get. Grooves, chill zones, and graded bedding, gauge, scans, and grooves. So pseudoteculite, gauge, and myelinite. We are gonna get these only. So yeah. So in a fault zone, we get this pseudoteculite. That's a type of the fault rock. Gauge is a crushed rock. And myelinite is a fine-grained foliated formed by the shear formation. Skarn and bake contacts are more related to the, contact metamorphism rather than fault and shear zone. Grooves, chill zone, graded bedding, they are more related to igneous intrusion and sedimentary process respectively. Gauge, skarn, grooves, skarn is not typically associated with faults and, shear zone. Now coming to the next question. 23. So, in a structure, contour map and area is entirely enclosed by one or more contours. This structures is known as what? Ring, scuppen, closed, imbricate. We should know all of them. What are they? So, it's a closed structure only. So, in a contour map, yeah, a closed structure in a contour map is that is an area that is completely enclosed by contour lines, indicating a distinct geological feature such as dome or basin. Talking about the ring, so it is not used to describe the enclosed area in the map. Scuppin, it is a fault structures, not an enclosed area, and imbricate it refers to the overlapping thrust fault. It's not an enclosed area in contour map. Okay. Now the correct answer will be closed structures. Now 24th question. So we have the question that is regarding the Rose diagram. So we should know, it's not necessary that we should know about Rose diagram only, but we can do it. So the intervals of azimuths are uh, plotted as pi c. Yeah, the intervals of azimuth are plotted as a pi shaped segment of a circle in their true orientation. Okay. The length of the radius of the circle is not proportional to the frequency of measurement having that orientation. Now, the rows diagram are used for displaying features as direction of the sediment transport and strikes of the vertical joint. Rows diagram are histograms for which orientation axis is transferred into a circle and give a true angular plot. So, uh, okay, if you get such type of question where you're bit unfamiliar with this, so just keep in mind that you need to eliminate the questions. Now see, third option, third option, third option, third option, fourth option, fourth option, fourth option, third and fourth option is correct because it's coming almost all of them. So what we're gonna do here is 1, 3, and 4 are the correct one. How come they are correct one? Rose diagrams, they plot the azimuth intervals as pie chart segments like this. And they are used to display the directional features and are histograms with orientation axes that are transferred into a circle. Statement 2 is incorrect because the radius length is proportional to the frequency of the measurement. So it is proportional. Yeah, not ki jagah, it is. So always remember when there is a negative statement that is present in a UPSC exam, that अगर एक नॉट लगा दिया है so पूरे चांस होते हैं कि वो ऑप्शन वैसे सही थी, नॉट लगा के वो गलत हो गई है. So 1 2 3 4 सही होते अगर ये नॉट ना होता तो अभी 1 3 4 है. So for this I know what topics are, I was incompetent to tell you, that is neutral, about the neutral fold, about the feather structures and pinnate structures, and I'll come on that and I'll let you know. Thank you so much.